Today I'm going to be doing a little video on microfiber towel care and how to wash them and dry them properly to keep them fresh and lasting for a very long time. Now, microfiber towels are obviously brilliant for car cleaning and just cleaning in general really, but there are a lot of mistakes that you can make when it comes to washing them that can ultimately ruin the towel, and if you use it on the vehicle can cause at worst things like marring and scratching, so it's really important to take care of them properly. So my very first tip when it comes to actually washing them is to first start by separating them out into different categories. Now, the very first thing you should separate them by is how sort of dirty they are. I wouldn't wash a lovely plush microfiber towel that I've just been using to apply a sealant with something that I've just been using to wipe down tyres. It's going to have that cross-contamination and it's going to get that really nice and clean towel a bit grotty, and it's not something that I would want to use on the paint again. So first, separate them out according to how dirty they are. Now, the next thing I would do is separate them according to the type of job that they do and the style of towel that they are. So, for example, I've got this plush microfiber towel here, which I use for paintwork, and I've also got this glass towel here. Now, glass towels are obviously great because they don't leave any lint behind. This, on the other hand, is really nice and soft and plush, but one of the negatives of it is it will leave some fibres behind on grabby surfaces. So, if I wash these two towels together, what I'd essentially get is some fibres from this on this towel, so next time I go to clean my glass with it, I can get little fibres on the glass, so it's just not great really. So I would separate them according to the jobs that they do. Another example are polishing towels, so if I've used a towel and got polishing or compounding residue on there, I again wouldn't wash it with a wax or sealant towel, as I don't want to get that residue on there. It's an abrasive residue and I don't want to be using it for that last step. So you have just got to use a little bit of common sense here when it comes to which towels to wash together. Obviously, if you're washing your own vehicle once a week, then you're not going to have loads of towels to actually get through, and you can combine some of those. If you separated them according to every single job, then obviously you'd just be washing one towel sort of per load and it wouldn't be very efficient. And the final way I would separate the towels out when you're washing them is by colour. Obviously, we've got a lovely red towel here and a white microfiber wash mitt. If I wash these two together, I'm going to get something like this. So obviously just use a bit of common sense, the same way you would when you're washing your clothes. Another tip as well is to make sure you only ever wash microfiber with other microfiber. Don't go ahead and throw your microfiber towels in with your clothes. Microfiber towels are really great at grabbing onto things. That's what makes them so great at cleaning. So if you wash them with other fabrics, it's going to grab onto all that lint and essentially clog up the towel. So make sure you separate them. So next, onto what you should actually wash the microfiber towels with. Now, two things I would recommend here, either using a dedicated microfiber detergent. These are great as they are really good at breaking down sealant and wax residue, so it can really help to clean that towel a little bit better, and they do leave them feeling a little bit softer as well. Alternatively though, you can use a liquid non-bio detergent. Just make sure that it does not have any fabric softeners, any bleach, any dyes, anything like that. You just want it to be sort of a free and clear liquid detergent. Now, it's very important not to use detergents with fabric softeners or to add fabric softener in there as well, as although it might sound like it's a good idea, it's really not good for microfiber towels, as it just clogs all those fibres, so your towel's just going to lose all that absorbency, so stay away from fabric softeners. Another really important point is that make sure you do use liquid detergents, do not use powdered detergents, as these can remain undissolved, and if you have sort of those little gritty particles in your microfiber towel, obviously you know what's going to happen. You're going to use it on your car and you can cause some micro marring, so make sure you only use liquids. When it comes to the actual setting that you should use on your washing machine, obviously every washing machine is slightly different, but I just use the regular setting. I don't use things like the quick wash setting, as they don't tend to have sort of a thorough rinse cycle, and you want to get all that sort of residue out of these towels, so you need a decent rinse cycle there. So just use the regular setting, but make sure you use a low temperature. So I use a 30-degree temperature. I would go as high as 40 degrees if the towels were very, very heavily soiled, but typically I don't need it. 30 degrees is usually completely fine. The main point here is that you just don't want to use any heat when you're actually washing your microfiber towels, so don't go above that 40 degrees. The reason being is it can actually cause the fibres to melt a little bit and harden. So obviously you don't want a towel that's hard and you're going to use it on your paintwork, it's just going to cause scratches. So sticking with that low temperature is really, really important. Now, when it comes to actually drying the microfiber towels after they've come out of the washing machine, the main thing to note here is to not use any heat. Now, that means don't hang them on the radiator and don't put them in your dryer on a high heat setting. It's again going to cause the fibres to harden up. You can use a tumble dryer to dry them. Just make sure you're using a low heat or no heat at all, and separate the different types of towel. Again, you don't want to be using these lint-free towels with the ones that have that sort of plusher style, as you're going to get that lint transfer. A few things to note though, if you are going to air dry them, is to make sure you do it inside, not outside, as obviously if it's a windy day, you can get dust and debris sort of settling on that towel, which you really don't want. And also, sometimes if you are drying sort of this plusher style towel, they can sort of feel a little bit soft once they're fully dried. The best thing to do here is either to throw them in the tumble dryer on no heat, or you can actually just run your hands along them and it will fluff up those fibres a little bit more. So that tends to be what I do after I've washed them. Now, the final step is to make sure you're storing your microfiber towels properly. I would always recommend storing them in somewhere where they're not going to get dusty, so don't just leave them sort of out open on a shelf. I put them in drawers, but previously when I didn't have drawers, I put them in just little plastic bags that I reused. That's really a good idea, as you don't want to get, again, dust settling on those towels in between the uses. You can use things like plastic boxes and things as well, so however you want to do it, just make sure they're not exposed to the open air. If you have found these tips useful, it would be brilliant if you could drop it a like, and thanks very much for watching.